The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and he missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard.
Just 4 rounds remain in the 2016 to 2017 iROC Warshock Super Series, presented by FireMarshalBills.com, and round 7 takes place here tonight at the relatively new to iRacing Southern National Motorsports Park in North Carolina, and you're going to get to see it all live on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman, and alongside me in the booth is Tanner Sharp. Our director, Joe Peak, is behind the scenes doing all the button pushing, and he is using camera sets provided by Dougie Beard. Last week, these super late model drivers were treated to a break from the norm with high-speed racing at the Iowa Speedway. The series goes back to its roots this weekend, though, at a relatively new track to the iRacing service, Tanner.
It definitely is, Sam, and this track does have a lot of short track local racing here there, Sam. Southern National Motorsports Park, ever since 2009, has been an open and closed racetrack for a while until it reopened in 2012 for business for the NASCAR Whelen Late Model Series, and ever since, and it went back to its roots for regular short track racing in 2013 and added to the iRacing service in December of 2015. So tonight, these drivers, it is a 4/10 mile short track with progressive banking of 17 degrees. So that's a lot of banking for a small little short track. 150 laps these guys are going to be turning tonight. Fuel should not be a concern whatsoever. Everybody's driving the same setup. Weather is 85 degrees and 86 track temperature. Relatively cool. Should provide a lot of grip in the racetrack. So to get an idea how to get around this little short high bank racetrack, let's hop on board the super late model here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around Southern National Motorsports Park in the GSRC Super Late model. This is going to be a quick one, so here we go. Down into turn 1, let it roll through the very tight apex, aim for the bottom, and then cut it right out there towards the wall. Back down into turn 3, same thing. Let it find the middle here, rotate in, and then get back onto the gas. Southern National is kind of like a really banked Martinsville. It's about the only way I can describe it. Back down into turn 1, out of turn 2, keeping that same flow. You're going to get into a nice rhythm with the engine sound too. Easy in, hard off. That's what's going to be the key to get around this joint across the line. And that's going to complete our track guide here around Southern National Motorsports Park. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
Well, thanks to Brian for showing us around this little track, and Brian knows a lot about these cars and this series, and if you need proof of that, just take a look at our point standings right now. He has retaken a points lead after a solid race last time out at Iowa Speedway. Meanwhile, Justin Blackdeer, who went into Iowa with the points lead, he didn't really have any trouble really, Tanner, at Iowa. He just didn't have a good race.
Yeah, he didn't have a good race. He was up and down the leaderboard at Iowa Speedway and just could not finish up close where Brian Yazik was, and that put him down in points just a little bit, but he's still in the hunt. He's only 10 points back. Few races left. He's got to try to get consistent. Now is pretty much go time, just in my opinion. Looking at those points there, Sam, it's pretty much between Brian Yazik and Justin Blackdeer, who we technically were calling the dark horse at the start of the season. Cole Williams is 19 points up, but I think that's just too much, especially with the size of the field that we've been getting lately.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good size field here tonight, though. We got 20 drivers, I think, are going to be taking the green flag. Now, meanwhile, the third driver we saw listed in the points there, Cole Williams, I don't actually see him on the entry list right now. So, unfortunately, it looks like he won't be playing a big part in this championship hunt. 5 minutes left until we get to qualifying. They've just finished up practice. They're having a drivers meeting right now. Justin Blackdeer was the fastest in practice. We'll wait and see how much that means, because Tanner, we've been talking about this track only being on iRacing for a whole year. Even though it is a popular circuit, I don't think it's the most used short track out there. So a lot of these drivers will be doing a lot of learning over the 150 laps here tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy, Sam. This track was implemented into the iRacing service in December of 2015, and people still today are still learning about this racetrack. It is a fun, high-speed banking racetrack. I mean, the banking is what really gets me here, Sam. I mean, this is like the biggest banking on a short track for super late models that I've seen, maybe with the exception of Bristol Motor Speedway. But it should for sure find some fantastic racing. It's nice and wide. Drivers should give each other just a little bit of room, even though the bottom group is going to be the preferred line tonight. That's what it's looking like, since drivers are putting the rubber downs during the practice session, and it should be a fun championship battle. You mentioned Justin Blackdeer, because right now he is top of the leaderboard in practice compared to Brian Yazik, who did not get so much practice time. He's back down there in 20th, but it should be very interesting to see what qualifying is going to separate those two drivers from.
Yeah, Brian didn't really turn much of a competitive lap in practice. He did put a lap time on, but 6 seconds closer than anyone else, and we know Brian is a bit faster than that. Now, for those of you new to this series, yes, the race is 150 laps. Will there be cautions? Well, first off, it's a short track, so most likely yes, but the answer actually is definitely yes, because at the halfway point in this series, they will have a competition caution, and that's the only time they'll come down and take tyres. And I have a feeling, Tanner, you know, sometimes we say, well, how much is track position worth? Do you want to try 2 tyres or no tyres? Of course, fuel isn't a concern. I have a feeling here we're going to see a lot of drivers taking 4 tyres just due to the high speeds of this track.
Yeah, and we don't see a lot of lead changes in this series. Maybe on an average about 3-4 lead changes amongst probably 2 to 3 different leaders. Last week was Iowa Speedway, a much bigger high-speed racetrack. That only seen 2 leaders out of the entire race, and it changed 3 times. So, you know, track position in this series is absolutely going to be key, but the biggest key to try to finish up towards the front and have a shot to win is patience. Tim Bills is one of those drivers that can show those patience, because he started in the back on 2 occasions that I can recall at Iowa and Lucas Oil Raceway, and patience got him up towards the front. So patience is definitely going to be key for these drivers, and do not overdrive the corners, because if you do, you might accidentally tag somebody that's trying to get into that corner.
Yeah, Tim Bills has been the master at coming through the field for the last 2 races. As you mentioned, Lucas Oil Raceway didn't really pay off for him, but last week out at Iowa, he ended up finishing 2nd place. He was charging Dalton Collins down all race long. Collins held him off. Dalton Collins, I'm looking down the entry list, and then another no-show for tonight, unfortunately. And in fact, he's down there 6th in the points because he hasn't been at all of the races. But we still have 4 races left during this season. They'll be going to Thompson next week, so be sure to check that out next Wednesday night. Also, before we get qualifying started here, let's give us a little social media shout out here, so you know how we can get in how you can get in contact with us. We're on YouTube and on Twitter at GSR Channel, and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. One minute left until qualifying begins. Each driver will have the track to themselves for 5 minutes. They'll be able to turn on 2 laps, and we'll get them gridded up for the race here. 150 laps is one of the longer races, Tanner. How critical do you think qualifying is going to be tonight, considering the race length?
Well, based off statistics and the way the lead changes have been playing out in the last quite a few races that these guys have been running, I think qualifying is going to be key here. If you're starting in the top 10, you do have a shot to finish in the top 10, depending upon if there's patience surrounding you and depending upon if you have patience yourself. Patience on short track racing, on iRacing simulations, is one of the biggest things to stay out of trouble and finish very well. If you can do that, you can certainly put up some positive top 5s and top 10s, and eventually those wins will come. Sometimes yes, it is a short track. Sometimes incidents do happen. That is true. But all these drivers do have spotters, and I'm sure they are aware of their surroundings, and they have all the equipment surrounding them to know who's around those drivers, who's surrounding you. So that's going to be key to stay out of trouble and start up front.
We'll find out who's starting up front momentarily. You see the clock in the top left corner of your screen counting down the final 10 seconds of practice. Of course, no cars on track because they just finished up their drivers' meeting. Hopefully they'll address the incident concerns that were plaguing the first half of the season. There were a couple of caution fests. Obviously, last week at Iowa was a slightly different track, and there weren't as many cautions there. Now, these drivers, I think, Tanner, are not going to want to run into trouble tonight, because even though there's no incident limit in this series, and there's no fast repairs, I have a feeling, just due to the high speeds of this track, you're going to hit the wall pretty hard if you do get into trouble. These drivers may want to be on their best behavior tonight.
Yeah, it's funny, on a racetrack like this, on high degrees of banking, Sam, when you come off the corner of these exits, you got to get out to the outside wall to try to pick up that speed. And sometimes when you get a couple laps on those tires, man, I tell you what, you can really hit that wall because a car is eventually going to push. So you really got to be careful and manage those tires.
Alright, well, you can see qualifying has started. We'll start to get some lap times as we watch Michael Krobot getting in the wall there, coming out of turn 2, I think that was. That means his qualifying time will not count, so he'll have to try and... and actually it did count. Okay, 14.1. I guess he got away with it. But that's already been beat by Justin Black there.
Yeah, you mentioned Michael Krobot. He's been pretty quiet this season, Sam. I believe he's about 7th, 8th in points right now. He's only led 1 lap out of the entire races that he had ran last week at Iowa. He missed Iowa, and Travis McQuestrian was running for him under the same name brand, of course. And so Michael Krobot's back in his car tonight, and he's ready to get going, and hopefully he can rack up some consistent finishes to try to get him up there in the top 5 in points.
Yeah, Krobot 29 markers back of a points leader right now, sitting 8th in points as we continue to watch the cars go around. Tim Bills currently the fastest, not going to have another race starting from the back here tonight. The number 37 has ran a 13.7, and he's currently sitting at the top of the timing sheets ahead of Scott Formosa. A lot of these drivers actually have got their laps out of the way early. Not a whole lot of drivers left to go out and turn the lap that I can see. Looks like Tim Bills may have this locked up.
Man, Tim Bills, his lap time from practice has improved. I tell you what, in practice he ran a 13.757. qualifying, he notches it off with a 13.749. So definitely an improvement there on Tim Bills' part. And I'm looking at the list here, Sam. Nobody else has reached the 13.7s. The closest has been Scott Formosa with a 13.814. So the qualifying times are pretty consistent so far, but Tim Bills will have that clean air to work with at the start of the race if he sits on the pole.
Well, we were watching Mark McCrary here because he was 5th fastest in practice, and that's what he does in qualifying as well on his first lap in that number 31 machine. Going to turn a second lap, so one driver left to mix it up front here. Let's see, he doesn't improve. Meanwhile, I'm also not seeing the timeout of Trevor Edwards in the number 32 machine yet, but he's actually not a part of the session, so it looks like we will just have 19 cars taking the green flag. And I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm almost thinking I can safely say that it will be Tim Bills leading them to that green flag.
Yep, it's pretty much safe to say that every driver, with the exception of Trevor Edwards, who's not in the session yet, but with a 19-car field, 19 cars have qualified for this race tonight. So that pretty much says it for qualifying. And I tell you what, looking at those championship contenders, Sam, Justin Blackdeer, he was fastest in practice, but he qualifies third in the in qualifying. With Brian Yazik, he is qualified 12th. So that's almost a 10-point difference right there. And if this was like a 3-lap race and it finished how they started, Justin Blackdeer would gain those points right back on Brian Yazik. So it's definitely going to be extremely competitive between those two drivers.
Yeah, the good thing for Yazik, of course, is that it's not a 3-lap race. We've got 150 laps here tonight where he can try and make up those positions, and that's something we see out of Brian a lot. It's not that he's a driver who likes to start at the back, it's that he's a driver who usually has a lot of commitments ahead of a race, and so comes into the practice session late, and it just takes him a few laps to get up to speed. As a matter of fact, Brian is still out on track right now. Even though he's turned his 2 qualifying laps, he's still out circulating, basically using the rest of his qualifying session as a practice session to see what the track has in it.
Yeah, definitely. And you know something, this is going to sound just a little bit weird just to some people, but when I first started on iRacing, obviously it was on the short tracks and the street stocks and all that stuff. I've learned more in a race session as he hits the wall there. I've learned more in a race session than an actual practice session. That's just because I'm surrounded by drivers and I'm trying to understand what the car is doing when it's in traffic. You can do that in practice, but things get a little more serious when it's in a race session, though.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and we'll get to the grid here momentarily. Sometimes when I've been to tracks where I just can't come to grips at all, I'm like, oh, I'll just enter a race session. Let's see what happens. Learn the hard way. Anyway, let's get to the grid. As we mentioned, Tim Bills is the pole sitter ahead of Scott Formosa here. Justin Blackdeer, as Tanner mentioned, the points leader, starting from 3rd place ahead of William Hale, who was making rumblings in the chat that he might not be able to make a start, but looks like he will. Anyhow, Mark McCrary is lined up behind him in 5th ahead of Brian Neff, and then Travis Wright and Matt Vade are there on row 4 ahead of Jeff Faulkner and Zach Coyer.
Yep, and starting outside the top 10 tonight, starting 11th, that is Robert Barber in the 28 machine. Mr. Brian Yazik, championship point leader, is starting 12th. Michael Krobach, his teammate, rolls off in the 13th position. Charlie Melvin in 14th. Tim Knott in the 15th position tonight. Jeffrey Gilliams, who's had a pretty decent season, will roll off in 16th. Travis Owens in 17th tonight. 18th place is Louis Robinette, and rounding out the top 19 car field will be Mark Myers.
Yeah, as we mentioned there, Trevor Edwards not in the session, and Carson Orbay is the league administrator, so he's joined the session as a driver, but he has the ability to impose penalties, etc. throughout the race. And one thing that the series has started doing, Tan, is whenever there is an incident, because since we're getting a bit out of hand at the start of the season, whenever there is an incident, the driver that they deem who caused the incident is sent to the end of the longest line for the restart.
Yeah, I mean, and which is pretty much a fair penalty. I mean, you make a mistake, and sometimes you just got to pay for it. And all you can say is that's just racing. You know, you're beating and banging fenders out there, and sometimes it goes a little too far. Some get spun around because of it, and that's a good way for the administrators to really deem that. So it should be some full exciting racing action tonight in these super late models on the high bank, 17 degrees of banking of Southern National Motorsports Park, and I am ready to go green, Sam. They're going to take 2 pace laps around this joint, and then we're going to drop that green flag and let them loose.
Yeah, and if we get a long green flag, if we get a long enough green flag run here, don't think that lap traffic can't become an issue, and it could become an issue very early on, Tanner, just due to the fact that these cars are getting around here in under 14 seconds.
Yeah, if we stay green, those laps are going to be ticking down like crazy, and the drivers that start mid-pack or in the back of the pack, it puts a little pressure on them because those laps really start winding down if we get into the green flag stages. Yes, we do have that competition caution, but if we stay green in the second half of the race, it's going to click down just like that, especially when you're pulling off lap times 14 seconds a lap.
And the green is the colour of the flag that we are about to see in 0.2 of a mile. The pace car about to make the hard left turn down pit road, which looks like it's out of the exit of turn 4 here. And Tim Bills now has control of the field, starting at the front this time around, and he takes the green flag with racing here. Southern National Motorsports Park.
God Formosa dives to the bottom because the opportunity went up for him. Third place is William Hale. Justin Blackdeer is going to try to get to the 4-spot car all the way up by the outside wall, trying to make out who that was out there. That was the number 8 machine of Matt Vane, who got shoved to the outside in the gray area. Man, oh man, but still keeping it intact.
Yeah, I don't think he really got shoved up there. I guess he just got loose in the turn. They almost had a 3 wide with him on the high side there with Jeff Faulkner and Robert Barber. Robert Barber got a bad X out of turn 4 though, and they get bunched up behind him. There's Brian Jarzik, our points lead in the middle of all that.
Yeah, drivers are now quickly starting to get single file. It is still in the early stages of this race. There is a machine outside on the outside wall in the back of the pack battling for position. That is Jeffrey Gilliam, who's stuck on the high side of the racetrack. He is getting beat big time on the exit of the corners, and I think he just got cleared to fall back in line down there.
Yes, Charlie Melvin, who just made the pass on him, and we hear that this is Charlie Melvin's first race back after a surgery. Don't exactly know what surgery that was, but great to see Melvin back out on the track, and let's see what he can do.
Oh boy, almost a little contact back here between Robert Barber and I think that was Jeff Faulkner. Jeff Faulkner shoved to the high side there under attack from number 55 machine of Brian Jarzik. That is pretty much the only dog fight on the racetrack at the moment. Jeff Faulkner's going to fall in line, get in front of Michael Krobach as he lost about 2 spots. Oh, backing up, Krobach, oh, spinner. Robert Barber around, caution is out off of turn number 2.
Yeah, Robert Barber went for a spin, as you mentioned, that caused accordion effect behind them. Hopefully not too many cars torn up there.
Yeah, big time accordion effect that happened coming on. Oh, it looked like Robert Barber clipped the apron there from 17 degrees of baking to flat apron. Just clipped the apron, upsetted the car really bad. And I don't think Mr. Brian Jarzik made contact with him.
No, Jarzik was far behind, and in fact we'll actually get an onboard here and see exactly what happened. This happened at about lap, and as you mentioned, he clipped the apron there. That happened on lap 7. They were clicking off laps quite quick there in the early stages, as we've mentioned, 13 seconds a lap. But now, just 2 minutes into this race, the pace car is back out on track, with Tim Bills leading the field and Scott Formosa in second. Great thing about short tracks, Tanner, short cautions too.
Short cautions too, yep, and there ain't gonna be a lucky dog to interfere with that. And I tell you what, you said 2 minutes already into this race and we ran about 10 laps. Man, if we stay green, that's gonna click off just like that, folks. Holy cow. And they were going flying around this joint too, so this is so far a very clean start to the race. Just a driver mistake coming off of turn number 2.
We did have one drive in the pits. Now, of course, they can't take tyres. Even though they can make it to the end on fuel, some drivers opt to add fuel just to even out the balance of the cars. The drive in the pits, by the way, is Jeff Faulkner. That will drop him to the back. I do see a bit of damage on the right front fender of that number 75 car, so maybe just push tight up into the wall on one of the turns during one of our opening 7 laps to this race. Looks like the field is starting to get double file here, and indeed the lights are off on the pace car.
That damage could have came from that accordion effect too there, Sam. So we'll have to see if that damage is really going to affect him. I don't know if it really would, since he's still out there on the racetrack. Looks minor damage, but we're going to come take the green flag here as pace car is entering turn number 3, and we're going to let him loose once again for first restart of the night.
And here comes the pace car in. Can Formosa do what he did again as Beals gets out in front? Indeed, Formosa quick back downstairs and filters into that second spot ahead of William Hale.
Side by side, pretty much going to be first, 7th on back there, Sam. Looks like 4th and 5th place is going to get a little strung out here as Brian Neff will get him past Justin Blackdeer for that spot.
Yeah, I think Mark McCrary may have got a bit of a wall on the front straight and on the back straight. He's been shuffled back a lot here. Brian Jarzik goes by, and now Matt Vade, the driver we saw upstairs earlier on, he's found his way downstairs and now looking underneath McCrary. One driver, that's Melvin, getting shuffled out the line. Oh, and yeah, is there trouble at back? Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Man, holy cow. I mean, it's a hornet's nest back there. Louis Robinette was in a 3-wide situation there. We have a car up by the wall up there. I think that was Mark Myers in the O, or Travis Owens in the O2. Stuck on the high side back there. Those guys are beating and banging. We got a car on the back side of pit road there, Sam.
It's William Hale, the driver we mentioned, may not even be able to make a start of a race. I think he had some kind of commitment going on. Looks like maybe it's finally bit him on lap 15 here. And yeah, that was Travis Owens who had the big moment. He kind of got turned by another car. Waiting to see what's happening to William Hale here. Indeed, he's coming in these pit stall. He's already a couple laps down. I'll take him out of contention. He'd been running in the top 10.
Yeah, he was really slow coming towards that restart too there, Sam. He just took it to the apron and used the pit roads to try to get out of the way. So that's very smart on William Hale's part. Tim Bill is still out front. Scott Formosa second, and pretty much close bumper to nose to tail from Brian Neff, Justin Blackdeer, Travis Wright, and Brian Jarzik. Man, Brian Jarzik, for a guy that hasn't took too much practice time and starting in the middle of the field, tell you what, he's learning a lot just in a race session, as I said at the top of the show.
They're already up into 6th place, having started 12th. Meanwhile, Tim Bills is smoking the field up front, showing what he can do when he chooses to qualify and gets up to the front of the field. Now, of course, the thing that could be concerning for Bills here is that he may be burning these tyres off, and he won't have a chance to change them for another 50 laps, which granted is only about 10 minutes away from now, if we stay under green like this. Scott Formosa 2nd place, Brian Neff, Justin Blackdeer, and Travis Wright rounding out the top 5.
So far, Sam, I tell you what, you talk about drivers, the leaders could catch lap cars as Travis Owens did hit the wall back there. Travis Owens is already on the backstretch as the race leaders pass the start-finish line. So they're already taking up half the racetrack already, just in about 25 laps into a race.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about the speeds, given that we do have such high banking here. It's not really that impressive, the speeds that they're hitting on the straightaways. They're going about 110 miles an hour, which I could say is about normal for a short track. What's getting me though, Tan, is they're really not losing a lot of that speed in the turns as we get about for second here. Just about 70 miles an hour in the turns as Brian Neff moves up to 2nd place.
Tell you what, I mean, just watching these guys, and I had the opportunity to turn a couple laps in the super late model today, and I tell you what, Sam, I felt like I was going just as fast in the middle of the corners as I was on the straights.
We kind of have a science to back that up here. Meanwhile, we're keeping an eye on the back of the field, because if the leaders do start to catch him, that could get dicey.
Oh, Brian Jarzik, man, making contact. Oh, man, he squeezed it in there, and... man, oh man, that was crazy. Who was that red car there? That was Travis Wright. Yeah, I mean, there was no give there, and Travis Wright pretty much paid for it coming off the exit of the corner.
Yeah, we'll see the replay here. Brian gets underneath him. Travis says no. Brian says yes, and Travis pays the price for that. And now is actually maybe going to lose 6th place to Matt Vade. Oh, although Matt Vade got a bit of the apron there, gets loose, and he's not going to make that move work just yet.
Yeah, I mean, that apron in the middle of the corner is not your friend at all. The only time it's your friend is if you're hugging it down there, but it'll bite you if you hit that apron, and Brian Yazik is already working on the driver ahead of him, trying to figure out if he can get the good run on the exit of the corner. Ahead of him is this championship contender, Justin Blackdeer. So you got the first and second point drivers right there.
And there you see Scott Formosa in front of him get out of the groove, and that will allow Justin Blackdeer by, and maybe Brian Yazik as well. Formosa will try and filter into 6th place here, and he's able to do that ahead of Travis Wright, who's broken away from Matt Bate now.
Definitely is. Those drivers are going to go single file. Tim Bills is very much dominating the field at this point, at this junction of the race. Just ahead of Tim Bills all the way down turn 1 and 2. We do have almost a 3-wide battle between drivers. Oh, another driver gets loose there on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, well, in front of Tim Bills right now it's Travis Owens in his windshield, and now he's in his rear view mirror. Tim Bills has started lapping cars, and it's only lap 35, even after a caution flag. This is what we expected. But as you mentioned, that battle between Robert Barber, Jeff Faulkner, and Mark Myers, a 3-way battle going on down the front straight now, is going to be in our race leader's windshield very shortly.
And those guys have been battling pretty hard there, Sam. Now, if the race leader catches them and those guys are battling it, that might be in trouble and slower lap times for a race leader, which will allow the 2nd place car, Brian Neff, to catch him. And here comes Brian Yazik for 3rd place over his championship competitor, Justin Blackdeer.
Yeah, Blackdeer is still within striking range of Yazik if anything bad does happen to him late on in the race.
Oh.
Meanwhile, talk about those lap times right now. Bill's still pulling away from Neff.
Almost contact between Travis Wright and Scott Formosa. Those drivers are side by side. That is going to be a battle position for the top 5 spot. Formosa's pretty much going to give it up and let 2 drivers go by. That is also Matt Bate going by. So that's 2 spots lost right there for Scott Formosa.
Got the conveyor belt effect going on here now at the Southern National Motorsports Park, as Brian Yazik and Justin Blackdeer go by the lap car of Travis Owens. And in fact, Blackdeer's not yielding that 3rd place just yet. He's sticking his nose in there a bit.
He's looking, but nothing to really execute the move yet. So far he's still keeping tabs on Brian Yazik, and that's what he needs to do. And if he wants any chance to win this championship in the series, he's got to beat Mr. Brian Yazik every single week. And hope maybe Mr. Brian could have a bad race. But so far, Brian Yazik has been on rails since the drop of the green flag.
Well, the first half of this race is looking rather clean. That's not unusual for this series. They usually do put on clean first half of races, but once that competition caution flies at the halfway point, usually we do see an entirely different race in the second half. Of course, we hope that's not the case. We hope we have a clean show all night long, but that's why Blackdeer is definitely trying to stay within striking range of Yazik here, because as you mentioned, if we do see some incidents happen, not wishing bad on Yazik or anything, but Blackdeer needs to be in position to capitalize on that.
Looking at lap times here, Sam, and actually last time by it was a 10th gain by Tim Bills, but it looked like Brian Neff was gaining on Tim Bills for the race lead, and Tim Bills was faster last time by. This time by, he is once again a 10th quicker.
Yeah, could have been lap traffic, but then again, it could be that Bills is burning off his tyres in the long run. Maybe Neff is eating back into that lead, but then again, less than 30 laps left to go until we hit that competition caution. If you're talking about 30 laps at a road course like Nürburgring, well, you'll be there for a few hours, but here it would be just about 5 or 10 minutes until we hit that point.
Yeah, definitely. And we've already seen, 10 laps in 2 minutes at the start of the race there, Sam. So it's going to fly by really quick. Just looking at the action on the racetrack here, just ahead of Tim Bills, I am seeing some drivers fighting for position. That's back here with Tim Knott, Michael Krobach, and Charlie Melvin.
Yeah, Michael Krobach not having a spectacular race, and unfortunately now nor is Scott Formosa. Was up in second for the longest time early on. He has now been shuffled all the way back to 8th behind Zach Coyer, now losing 8th place to Mark McCrary, who gets it back, and back to 9th goes Formosa. Meanwhile, these pack of drivers behind 10th place that you were mentioning, Tim Knott and Michael Krobach, now running side by side each other.
Yep. ever so close, ever so fast, side by side, and those drivers almost made contact a couple times, but so far it's actually a clean pass there by Tim Knott for position number 11, as drivers behind are catching up to those drivers right there. And I tell you what, those drivers, they're feeling the pressure, because look at Tim Bills, he's ran into traffic.
Yeah, Tim Bills, he does have a 1.7 second lead over Brian Neff right now, but you can guarantee he's going to lose a bit of that with this Hornet's Nest in front of him. He'll try and make his way through them one at a time. That's actually Travis Owens going the second lap down there. Jeff Faulkner is still in 15th place running on the lead lap, but that's going to change very shortly.
Yep, right now he's got that big old 37 machine in the rear mirror just gobbling. Oh, car hit the wall. That was Jeffrey Gilliam on the front stretch. He saves his car, but he goes a little higher than usual in the middle of the corner of the racetrack. But he is okay at the moment. Michael Krobach's about to lose another position.
Yeah, keeping an eye on this battle back here. I'm also keeping an eye on the battle for fourth, and in fact it just heated up. Justin Black did go out the groove and lost 2 spots in one turn. Boy, he really got out the groove in turns 3 and 4, and it cost him 2 positions. That won't help him keep within striking range of Brian Jarzik there. And the 2 red cars of Travis Wright and Matt Vade were the ones who picked up a position. And I'll tell you what, after a rough last few races, Matt Vade having a good run tonight so far.
Yeah, Matt Vade's having a good run. As you see on the replay right there, Justin Black, you're just getting out of the racing groove down there. That is the gray area where there's no grip at all. But he's back in the groove now, trying to regain his composure there and still trying to log laps.
The lead has been reduced to 0.8 of a second between Bills and Neff, but I have a feeling that will open up again when Bills gets through this traffic and Neff is still stuck in it. They have the lap car of Jeffrey Gilliam between them right now.
And if anything, Tim Bills is just sandwiched between lap cars, and I think lap traffic has a lot to do with Brian Neff catching Tim Bills, as right now Tim Bills has nowhere to go to get a run on the exit of the corner on Jeff Faulkner.
Yeah, Faulkner battling Michael Krobach for 13th position here. I tell you what, Faulkner's been the car in front of Bills for quite a while. And Neff, once again, just behind Gilliam, but he's about to make a move on Gilliam here.
Oh, man, he got the Tim Bills is something going down pit road too. I think it's Robert Barber, but Jeff Faulkner looked like he just tried to slam the door on Tim Bills, the race leader there. Now Tim Bills is going to go around underneath, and here comes Brian Neff. He's just a couple car lengths behind, looking underneath, taking the opportunity to try to get around Faulkner and get to that back bumper of the race leader.
Yeah, always easier to beat the guy in second through lap traffic because the drivers fight and stay on the lead lap, but once the leader goes by them, they're like, doesn't really matter if the guy in second place goes by me as well. And now certainly Neff is on the back bumper of Bills, as Bills is looking underneath Krobach here. Bills trying to get back out into the clean traffic and see if he can build up a lead, and that will help him because Krobach got in the wall there a bit, and I think Neff may have had to back out a little bit. They're just 11 laps away from the competition caution as once again Krobach knocks down the wall.
Yeah, knocked down the wall. Oh, 2 cars out of the race groove in turn number 2.
Travis Wright was one of them.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there. I wonder if they just slid up.
Well, it looks like they got away with it. Meanwhile, contact in the battle for 11th. The next 2 cars ahead of Tim Bills, Louis Robinette and Charlie Melvin are going hard at it. So, Bills may have been able to break away from Neff temporarily, but once again, Neff is back on his rear bumper as this battle continues. Now, Melvin gets out of the grid.
Yeah, that hurt Neff. And that's not the fault of a lap car. That's just catching a lap car at the wrong time. And all these lap cars are trying to stay out of the way of the race leaders. They're just trying to run their race as well.
Change fourth as Matt Vade goes by Travis Wright.
See Mr. Brian Jarzik in that middle of the pack now as he's starting to deal with all that. Tim Bills finally gets some clean traffic, clean air, and so does Brian Neff, as there's just a log of traffic behind Brian Neff on back.
Yeah, this is why we now, I think, need to keep an eye on the guys in 3rd, 4th and 5th as they get through this. Right now, Brian Jarzik, Matt Vade and Travis Wright.
Jeffrey Gilliam really slow, coming off of turn number 2 back there. Michael Krobrock's being lapped by his teammate Brian Yazik.
Saw some contact between Jeff Faulkner and Charlie Melvin there. Faulkner will take that position. Meanwhile, the driver, the first car 1 lap down right now is Louis Robinette, and it looks like he will safely get the lucky dog at this point.
Yep, so far 10 cars left on the lead lap. Tim Knott has some clean air to work with, but right now he's starting to feel the pressure from Tim Bills. The Tim and Tim show so far.
Yeah, Tim Bills trying to put Tim Knott a lap down. I don't think he's going to get him though, with less than a minute until we have a caution flag. If it's not the competition caution, if there is a red cap, we'll bring out the caution, and we almost have one between Charlie Melvin and Travis Wright. Putting him a lap down, made contact on the back straight, but they get away with it. Melvin trying to hold on for all the spots he can ahead of his competition caution, but that won't help him there. Sorry, that was Jeffrey Gilliam, another red car, getting completely out of the groove in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, so far some hard racing. We are expecting the competition caution here to come out here shortly here, Brian. And there's the competition caution right there.
Just in time for Louis Robinette, because Tim Bills was right on the rear bumper of Tim Knott. In fact, had they gone another lap, had they waited for the last car to complete lap 75, then Bills may have gotten by Knott, so Louis Robinette really the big winner here. He'll get the lucky dog.
And just a little update, Robert Barber, before the competition caution, did take tires, so he was black flagged twice for it. So that's the outcome of Robert Barber there, and race leaders are now heading down pit road. I do intend on seeing drivers that take 4 tires. We'll see who comes here. Tight pit road. Up and down pit road, everybody's getting right sides lifted up. It takes about 20 seconds to change 4 tires and fill these things up with gas. I'm sure these guys, like you said, Sam, are going to try to fill up with some fuel to try to even out the balance of their race cars. Yes, Tim Bills, left side's going up, taking 4 tires as, number 15, as Zach Coyer beats the race leader off of pit road. Did he take 2 tires?
Well, the big question here, I think, is did anyone get trapped a lap down? I wonder if that's why Zach Coyer took 2 tires, to make sure he got back out on the lead lap, because it's such a small track. I have a feeling some of our leaders who pitted at the back of a field there will have got trapped a lap down by the pace car.
And you're correct. Zach Coyer did take 2 tires, so he is the only driver, according to my notes right here, he's the only driver on the racetrack to take 2 right side tires.
Yeah, a lot of cars are getting trapped a lap down here. I wonder if they didn't anticipate the fact that taking 4 tyres, if they weren't close enough to the pace car when they came in, will push them a lap down. I almost wonder if Zach Coyer, well, he's not, but I almost wondered if he would take the option to come down in the pits and change the other 2 tyres so that he could change all 4 tyres while at the same time stay on the lead lap.
Yeah, he could. Otherwise, right now, so far, he has taken the opportunity to... actually, right now, I think they're trying to get all sorted out here with that pace car going around the racetrack, and it does take about 20 seconds to change everything. And I think that's the plan here, Sam, is to get everybody that wave around there, or I think the wave around has been given at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like iRacing's wave around, and the pace car's in pit road, and they've shown the caution flag because everyone's in a mess, and that was just going to be a wreck on the restart there had they actually gone back to green. Yep. They are going to try and get this race sorted out here. Zach Coyer will lead Tim Bills back to the lead lap, and I wonder if not so many cars have been given a penalty as what I thought, because we do have 10 cars showing on the lead lap right now. Originally it was meant to be 11, but Louis Robinette, who would have been the 11th car on the lead lap, has just been waved around the pace car. So I think all of our 11 cars who were meant to be on the lead lap are about to be back on the lead lap as Robinette finally gets his wave around here.
Yeah. And looks like some drivers, for some reason, had a black flag, and it's kind of getting cleared up at the moment. They're going to try to get all ready to go here. Pace cars back down pit road. I think they may throw the yellow once again here.
Doesn't look like it. We're going back racing. It's a single file restart on lap 83, and Zach Coyer, already those 2 tyres hurting him, and Travis Wright underneath him is actually the first car lap down, so he just raced his way back onto the lead lap, and in fact, yeah.
Louis Robinette's actually the race leader there, Sam.
Okay, so they gave Louis Robinette a wave around without meaning to, I think.
Yeah, it might be a mistake on that administration part right there, but nonetheless, it is Louis Robinette out front of Zach. Actually, I don't think that's Zach Coyer out front. Zach Coyer, I'm showing, is currently in second place. Yep.
Yeah, Zach Coyer's in second place. A lot of cars just passed Zach Coyer and would have gotten back on the lead lap if it wasn't for the fact that Louis Robinette is 6 seconds ahead of him. And contact! Mark Myers gets turned! Hits Yazek, the points leader!
Oh, champ, yep, oh boy. Oh, no, he gets hit again!
Who was that who hit him there? That's Travis Owens, the 02.
Oh my goodness gracious. Crazy restart of the race, and my goodness, wonder what happened to the 04 there of Mark Myers.
Well, there was contact coming out of a turn between him and another car, but it's really Yazek and Owens who get the worst of it.
Well, get this there, Sam. It looks like, according to the replay here, it looked like just a little bit of Mark Myers coming down. He came down on Tim Bills there. And Brian Yazek goes around, and looked like Brian, he wasn't going to move until traffic was clear, and they're racing back there side by side, and Yazek gets hit again.
Tim Bills has been given a tail end of a longest line penalty for triggering the incident. Meanwhile, Robinette is coming down into the pits. I wonder if this is their solution to get him to the back of the field and have him back on the lead lap. So that will move Zach Coyer up into the lead and Brian Neff up into second place. So this is kind of what the restart order should have been before that caution flag. Had Zach Coyer up front and Brian Neff in second position, because he beat Tim Bills. Tim Bills is far back in the order.
Yeah, Tim Bills just got an EOL for triggering that caution there, Sam. So he's gonna be starting at the tail end of the longest line, as pace car lights are off once again, as everybody else is gonna get a wave around. And I believe, okay, yeah, they are telling Michael Krobach to go by the pace car, so they are doing that, and they're gonna get lined up and ready to go here, Sam.
Yes, this is how the last restart should have looked. Zach Coyer leading the field back to green on 2 tires. What can Brian Neff and Matt Vade do on 4 tires?
I think Matt Vade had a little bit to do there with Zach Coyer getting loose on the restart. And yet again, Zach Coyer is on 2 tires. Brian Neff, your race leader. Oh boy, battle, dogfight for that 3rd, 4th spot back there. Holy cow, it's getting serious now, Sam.
Yeah, so Brian Neff has made his way into the lead on those 4 tyres. Zach Coyer currently holding station in second place on 2 tyres, but not anymore, as Matt Vade goes underneath him, looking for second place. Mark McCrary there will soon be looking for 3rd, and Justin Blackdeer, who could come out tonight the points leader if Yazek drops back far enough, he will be looking for 4th here.
Mark McCrary, where did he come from? And if I'm not mistaken, Sam,
I'm sorry, one car hard in the wall. And it's Jeff Faulkner.
75 machine, Jeff Faulkner spinning on the front stretch here. Triggers another caution here, as now we're getting to the stage of the race where we might see some more cautions. And it looked like to me there, Sam, it was a self-spin on Jeff Faulkner by clipping the apron of the racetrack.
Get another replay of it here. Jeffrey Gilliam on the high side. Maybe that's why he was running so low, to make sure he didn't get up into Gilliam.
Officially, this will bring out the 4th caution of the night. So, I mean, we've seen a lot of green flag racing so far here, Sam. We're getting to the second half of the race. Intensity has picked up just a little bit here. Matt Vade, holy cow, he's got a lot of damage on that number 8 machine there, all beating and banging in all 4 fenders.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't knock your wheels out of whack. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure the toe you don't want to knock out. I'm really wondering how much aerodynamics means around here. Even though it's a high-speed track, aerodynamically, even an ugly race car can do about 100 miles an hour.
Well, I'll be honest with you here. I think Brian Yazik had a little bit of a speed problem there after that second hit that he took in that accident on the backstretch. And I tell you what, he is now 1 lap down, but I'm sure if we get another caution, he's going to get the lucky dog. But hopefully Brian Yazik can at least get salvage a top 10 finish tonight.
Yeah, well, of course, Yazik's just lucky to have that car running, considering that the car hit him. Travis Owens, I think he blew his engine up. That was more than just a little scrape in the wall that Yazik had there. So he's lucky to still be, as you mentioned, 1 lap down in 14th place right now. He's hoping for another caution as the pace car lights go off. However, I've got to start wondering for him if that will happen, considering the fact that the field has kind of sorted itself out after a bit of a confusing competition caution.
Yeah, and right now our pacer cars are going to head down pit road. We're going to get 50 laps to go here. Right now, green flag is out. We are back racing here at Southern National Motorsport Park. 50 to go.
Yeah, bad restart by Matt Vade, and Brian Neff actually led at the line. I wonder if they'll let him get away with that one. Now he loses that lead, so they might just do that. And in fact, he may lose second place to Mark McCrary, or maybe not.
What a run off the corner by Matt Vade. And he's still trying to get the good runs on the exit of the corner. A lot of cars battling side by side, but that battle is for that race spot. Matt Vade doing everything he can to get that high side working. He hits the outside wall pretty good there, Sam. Oh, spin it, wrecking in turn 1. Oh, boy.
Yeah, the spinner, and Zach Coyer, he looped it, 360. And usually when you're 360 at an oval, you do it pointing downstairs. He was up pointing at the wall and got away with it. Although I'm trying to work out if he's trying to get a spot back here or if he's trying to retaliate against someone. But watch this, he gets turned by the 30. Oh, okay, he didn't 360. I kind of saw it at a bad angle, but you see, gets pointing downstairs and then points back upstairs and retakes his position in line.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he did that on 2 tires.
Yeah, I think freshness has gone from those 2 tires. Unfortunately, he can't get them changed without a penalty. Boys, some heads-up driving by the rest of the field to get around him all. Although hard in the wall goes the red car in front of the Crowbot there.
That is
straight right. Yeah, he's been in the wall before.
Brian Yazik receives the lucky dog. That's going to place him back on the lead lap, so that's a good thing on Brian Yazik's part.
The bad thing is he's still in 14th place and he's going to start running out of laps to pass the 13 cars ahead of him.
Well, I tell you what, if he can at least close the gap on Justin Blackdeer, he should have a consistent points lead. Justin Blackdeer currently in the 4th spot. Brian Yazik back on the lead lap in 14th. That is a 10 points difference. If the race ended right now, they technically would be tied for the points lead, Sam, since there is a 10-point gap from 1st to 2nd in the points. So it's just been pretty interesting between those 2 drivers since the drop of the green flag here at Southern National Motorsports Park.
Yeah, and Yazik will actually get to pick up one of those positions straight off the bat because Zach Coy is being given an end of the longest line penalty for triggering that incident. Meanwhile, Tim Bills, we talked about him having received one of those penalties not too long ago and being sent to the back. He has already rallied his way back up into 6th place. The good news is that's pretty high. He's only 5 positions away from being back up front. The bad news is he's going to have to start a restart on the outside, and I'm not sure that's a desired line, although we'll wait and see what he can do with it in the number 37. Brian Neff will lead the field back to green, but he got a bad restart last time by. What kind of restart will he get this time? Mark McCrary is to his high side.
Yeah, Mark McCrary, what a nice night he's been having all night. Brian Neff is going to take the green flag here. Green flag, we are back racing once again. Mark McCrary still keeping side by side with Brian Neff. Ooh, a little bobble by Mark McCrary. That upset his race car, allowing Matt Vade on the bottom side of the racetrack to get underneath him. Here comes, is that Scott Formosa on the bottom side of the racetrack down there? That is Formosa. Holy cow,
yeah,
where'd he come from?
He was running up 2nd in the short run early on, but then he hurt on the long run. Well, of course, we've been having a lot of short runs in the second half of this race. This might actually be helping him out.
Dog fight for 2nd place on back. Matt Vade bottom, McCrary up high. Formosa on the bottom getting by McCrary. As here comes Tim Bills as well, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, led most of the laps tonight. Brian Neff, who actually kept tabs with Tim Bills, is leading the race, and it's only going to get exciting from here on out. Even more exciting.
Yeah, Tim Bills looking for fourth on Mark McCreary already, and I think, well, he's definitely underneath him. He can't quite clear him yet.
Can't quite clear him just yet. Now he's going to clear him off the exit of the corner. McCreary having a nice, patient night. I mean, that's one big thing we've seen McCreary the last two races is big time patience, and it's really paid off for him as I think he scraped the wall there on the front stretch.
Meanwhile, Brian Neff continues to lead Matt Vade and Scott Formosa in the top three right now.
Yeah, Mr. Brian Yaz back here. He's hurting pretty bad here, Sam. I tell you what, he must have a lot of engine damage, and he's trying to keep he wasn't as fast as he was before. I tell you what, that 55 machine was a rocket ship early in the race, and ever since he took that big hit on the backstretch, that car has not been the same since. He's not been able to keep up with anybody. He's a Mr. Lonely out there on the racetrack at the moment. Not good for Mr. Brian Yazik.
Yeah, and he's going to want to hope for a caution in the next 4 or 5 laps, otherwise he will go a lap down once again. Unfortunately for him, most of the field has gotten single file. There's still some side-by-side battles going on out there though.
Usually when you get them kind of damaged cars on a super late model, Sam, they are such a crazy thing to drive. I mean, I tell you what, I mean, you could push really tight in the exit of the corner. You know, it's just a mixed bag of loose and tight. In this case, it's in a night setting like this, it's tight, and it just plows to the wall at times.
But I still don't think he's going to lose a points lead at this rate, because Justin Blackdeer isn't having a hot night either. He's currently stuck back there in 7th position behind Travis Wright and ahead of Louis Robinette, who has had an up and down second half of this race. So we'll have to keep an eye on Blackdeer as well, because even if Yazik does go off a lead lap, which he's going to do very shortly, the next car behind him is Mark Myers, who's 2 laps down.
Yeah, and Justin Blackdeer, if he wants to get at least the points tied or take the points lead, he needs to finish 4th place or better, because that's going to be a 10-position gap from 4th to 14th. So Justin Blackdeer currently in the 7th spot. He's been pretty patient as well tonight. He had an up and down race, up and down the leaderboard, much like Iowa Speedway, but he...
Oh, Yazik just blew it.
Oh, no.
That won't help him in the points.
That's going to end his night.
Yeah, I think he'll only lose a couple of positions, so the car in 17th place is 40 laps down, but still not going to help him. Meanwhile, we've had a change for 3rd place at the front end of the field. Tim Bills has gone by Scott Formosa, so now we're keeping our eyes up here as well, seeing if he can charge Matt Vade down for 2nd.
Yeah, and as fast as Tim Bills is, he should be able to charge him down, and so far he is gaining on Matt Vade. Brian Neff enjoying that clean air out there, not feeling the pressure from the number 8 machine of Matt Vade. Scott Formosa still sitting nice and comfortably in the top 5. Mark McCreary under attack, I believe. Or no, is there a battle right there for position? Formosa's moving backwards quickly actually here. He just lost a spot from Justin Blackdeer.
Yeah, and this happened during the first round as well. Remember, he had been running in 2nd place in the first half of the race, and then he just dropped back like a rock once they finally started having a long green flag run. Well, once again, we've got another green flag run, and Formosa has dropped back into 7th position this time.
He definitely has. Michael Krobach has cracked the top 10, 9th place. That's the highest he's been, I believe, all night long.
22 laps left to go as Brian Neff comes to the line. Could see a change for 2nd very shortly. Do not count Tim Bills out of this race win yet, especially considering the fact Neff is going to start capturing lap cars.
He definitely is, and we've seen it before with Tim Bills as race leader on how that affected him as a race leader. It slowed his lap times down. Brian Neff came up to try to make a pass or came up close to his back bumper. And in this case right now, Tim Bills is in 3rd, Brian Neff catching lap traffic. It's going to slow him down just a little bit.
Brian Yazik is going to finish in 16th place tonight, and the bad news here, Tanya, you keep talking about that 10 position gap. well, Scott Formosa dropping back has moved Justin Blackdeer up into 6th spot, so they will be tied on points heading into Thompson, unless we're mistaken. But let's get back up to this battle up front, because Brian Neff has caught lap traffic. He just put Jeffrey Gilliam a lap down, and this battle for second is heating up.
Heating up. Tim Bills back from an EOL penalty of a trigger of a caution, and his patience has paid off to try to get him up into the top 3 spot. He's going to hunt for more for that second position to try put that number 37 machine back where it was. Less than 20 laps to go, about 17 laps to go yet, and I don't know. Oh, we got a caution on the racetrack. That's going to change a lot.
Yes, it will. Neff was trying hard, and I think it's Charlie Melvin. Neff was trying very hard to stay in front, and I can tell you that because he brushed the wall on the front straight shortly before this caution flew. So what happened to Charlie Melvin here to bring out this yellow?
Yeah, let's get on the GSRC replay to see what happened to Charlie Melvin, the number 46 machine on the front stretch here.
That's Tim Knott behind him. These two would have been battling for position. I think Melvin was slow coming out of turn 4, and Knott kind of just had a really big run on him, couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, just got clipped in that left rear quarter panel. That's just a typical short track accident right here. Here's an aerial view on board the GSRC blimp. He's going to come close to that left rear quarter panel, and just a tap, one small little tap like that can send a car around, and it does that.
Yeah, I don't think that was Tim Knott's fault, but I almost wonder if they may consider giving him an EOL penalty just to keep up consistency here. We'll have to wait and see. Tim Knott running towards the end of cars that are on the lead lap anyhow, running in 10th place. And let's not count Tim Knott out, because he, even though he's 22 markers back in the points, he is 5th in the points, and indeed he has actually been handed a penalty there, so he'll drop back to 12th place.
Yep, and he's going to start at the tail end of the longest line, and when you know what that means, tail end of the longest line, that you got to start behind lap traffic. It is the tail end of the longest line, so Tim Knott has to go all the way back.
Alright, so we have 12 cars left on the lead lap. At the very front of them, as they get double file here, they still have 1 lap before we go back to green. It will be Brian Neff leading Matt Vade, but I almost wonder if a bigger concern for him is going to be Tim Bills. The driver who was dominating the first half of the race is going to be starting right on Neff's rear bumper with 11 laps left to go. A caution with 5 or 6 to go would end it.
It's going to heat up, Sam, because you had the fastest dominating car of the race, Tim Bills, in 3rd place, lining up behind the race leader. That's the best spot Tim Bills can be in for a shot to win this race. Pace car is going to head down pit road. Here we go. Brian Neff better get on that loud pedal and better take it like he stole it. Green flag is back out. Here we go.
Yeah, Neff got an excellent restart there, but what will the battle for second shape out like? It looks like Bills is going to win it with Matt Vade there on the high side. He's still at his quarter panel. No, he's not. Bills doesn't clear. He's in 2nd position.
10 laps to go at Southern National Motorsport Park. A lot of side-by-side action racing from 5th place on back, but it is going to be Tim Bills trying to hunt down that race lead from Brian Neff. Tim Bills has been the fastest all night. He's trying to hunt him down the best he can, and it's getting really dicey back there for 6th place, 7th place on back.
Yeah, Brian Neff would love to see a caution, and he may very well do. As you mentioned, it is dicey back there. 2 wide throughout the second half of the field, as Bills is reeling Neff in up front as they're coming to 7 to go this time around.
7 to go to that back bumper.
Neff will lose. He hit the apron.
Caution is out, and I believe the race lead will be given to Matt Vade. Nope, maybe not.
Yeah, okay. Neff hit the apron, and Bills only hit Neff because Neff hit the apron. But the thing is this is very similar to what happened in the previous caution, and they gave Tim Knott a penalty. Will Bills get the penalty considering the fact that Neff spun off of him?
It might happen there, Sam, because he did hit the apron of the racetrack. He was feeling the pressure, and he hit the apron of the racetrack. And coming to the front stretch here, Tim Bills had no fault. Yeah. Oh no!
Yeah, Tim Bills has been disqualified. I'm guessing that's because it's the second caution he contributed to today, and when that happens, you get black flags from the race. This will mean Matt Vade is now being scored as our race leader.
And Black Deer, the second, the dark horse we talk about that since the start of the season, Sam. Oh my goodness, what a change of events.
Now I'm waiting to see, disqualified on iRacing doesn't mean Tim Beals doesn't get credited at all, it just means his laps stop counting, so he'll still be ahead of Jarzik. So yeah, this is a big points day for Black Deer here. Now, will we get a restart? That's a big question, with Matt Vade ahead of Black Deer, and they're coming to 3 to go. I have a feeling the lights would have to go off. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to come out right. Pace car lights have to get off right now to be able to. And I'm not saying nope, not going to happen. So I don't think they do one-lap shootouts.
Yeah, I don't think iROC sanctioned series do. Granted, though, the league admin here today is not. Well, actually, I take it back. I think he does have experience in the administrating in the iROC trucks and Xfinity and Cup Series as well. Let's see if the pace car lights go off. They do. They may still opt to throw the caution flag just to prevent them from having a one-lap shootout. It hasn't happened yet. We may have a one-lap shootout here. Just 0.2 miles of racing to determine our race winner. That is indeed what's going to happen. And Matt Vade is going to have control of the field with Justin Blackday on the high side. Here we go.
No more cautions because they're coming to take the white flag. Here we go. Now it's whoever races back to the line is going to win the race. Look at Black Deer doing everything he can to get the Vade. Vade's going to hug that bottom side of the racetrack. Coming to the checkers. It's going to be Matt Vade.
Matt Vade wins, Justin Blackdeer second, Scott Formosa third, and a bit of contact going on in the middle of the field between some cars, but they've all crossed the finish line under green. Great to see a clean finish to that race. It'll be interesting hearing what the drivers have to say at that one. Wow, congrats to Matt Vade. I think first time we saw the name Matt Vade, there were 2 of them, and both of them had a poor race, but now there's only one of them, and he's the driver who bring it home in victory lane tonight. So congratulations to the number 8 driver. He's going to burn it down on the front straight, and we will have a chance to talk to all of them when we come back. Hello and welcome back to Southern National Motorsports Park, where we just witnessed 150 laps of racing, and it all came down to a one-lap shootout where the driver who took a green flag for that one-lap shootout came home and took a checkered flag as well, and that was Matt Vade in the number 8. He beat Justin Blackdeer for that victory ahead of Scott Formosa. 3 drivers with solid performances there. Actually, that could be said all the way through our top 5 here. Mark McCrary, another solid performance in 4th place, and Zach Coyer, who salvaged a 5th place finish despite being about 180 degrees sideways with about 20 laps left to go there. Travis Wright, his car was a bit beat up, he still salvaged a 6th place finish out of it ahead of Louis Robinette and Michael Krobach there in 8th place. Tim Knott inside the top 10, as was Jeffrey Gilliam.
Yep. And finishing outside the top 10 tonight, Brian Neff, who had a tremendous night going. He'll round out in 11th spot. Charlie Melvin will finish in the 12th position. Mark Myers in the 13th spot tonight. Jeff Faulkner will finish 14th. And 15th place, Tim Bills, who got disqualified. Brian Yazik, who was the points leader, not anymore. He'll finish in the 16th spot. Robert Barber in 17th. Travis Owens 18th. William Hale will round out the 19th car field that started the race tonight.
Yeah, unfortunately Hale came in for an early stop there, and then the other 2 drivers there did not start the race. Well, let's talk to our drivers who had good finishes at the front of the field. We'll start with our 3rd place finisher, Scott Formosa. Tanner, you've caught up with him.
I've caught up with Scott Formosa, and Scott, you had an up and down night tonight, up and down that leaderboard. You started up towards the front at the start of the race, and then you kind of slipped back, and then you came back again to finish in the top 3. Pretty eventful night out there, I would say, for you.
Yeah, my car was really pretty good on fresher tires, but the tires started heating up. I went backwards, and then we got a couple of cautions, and it seemed like when they cooled down, I could get back up there. It was a little strange night, but I just kept battling and ended up top 3. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and Southern National Motorsport Park is one of the newest additions on the oval side to racetracks on iRacing. Is this a racetrack that's pretty tough to pass at?
Yeah, you pretty much got to move somebody to get by them. It's tough. I mean, unless you're on a little different tire strategy, which we're on all the same strategies here. We pitted halfway and everybody takes 4, so. Yeah, it's all about track position and just starting on the inside on these restarts is critical. If you have to start on the outside, you really are messed up.
Yeah, and speaking about this race, we had a competition caution there. As a driver, was there any confusion as on a driver standpoint when they were trying to throw the L to see where everybody should be lined up at?
Yeah, a little bit. They got it sorted out. Sometimes that happens, when the caution comes out, people are not lining up correctly. But they're good over here. They got great admins. They know how to work everything out, and it worked out. I want to congratulate Matt and I think his teammate Justin Blackdeer for 1-2 finish. They did a great job. Good guys right there.
Yeah, and now Sky, you get a solid top 3 finish here, your best finish of the season in this series, and now we go to another short track, which is Thompson Motorsport Park. How do you think you will fare at Thompson?
Like Thompson, it's a little bit of a rough racetrack, one groove kind of on the outside there, but in the past I've had some fairly decent runs there. I'm kind of looking forward to that, actually.
Yeah, so am I. It's going to be an interesting race for sure, especially when iRacing first came and said Thompson's going to get a night racing there. So it's a great racetrack. I like to think of it as a mini Darlington. So, Scott, we thank you for coming to talk with us tonight. Congratulations on a top 3 finish, and we will see you at Thompson Motorsport Park.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for everything y'all do.
That was Scott Formosa finishing in the 3rd spot tonight. And Sam, I believe you caught up with the 2nd place driver, Justin Blackdeer, who should be our points leader.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't seem Justin's available for an interview tonight, so let's go down to Victory Lane here. We've called up with our race winner, Matt Vade. First off, Matt, congratulations.
Thanks, Sam. This was a pretty fun race to be in. I really liked that long run we had right away. I was hoping we were going to get another one like that in the second half, but it all worked out, being in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, you were able to progressively work your way up through the field as the race went on, starting in 8th position, and then I think we got the camera on you, you were 6th, and then you were 4th, and then at the end of the race you brought home the victory. How hard was it to make those passes out there? We heard Scott saying he thought it was pretty tricky.
Especially early in the run, it's pretty tough. Everybody on fresh tires, everybody's hugging the bottom, and you gotta wait. You know, that first run is when I made up most of my time, and we got a nice long run. Tires wear off, guys start slipping and sliding around, and if you're able to kind of just baby your stuff early, you know, you can pick those guys off late in the run, and that's what I was doing.
Did you think, having started 8th place here tonight, that you and your teammate Justin Blackdeer, who started in 3rd, would be able to come home with this 1-2 finish?
Oh yeah, it doesn't matter where you start. It's all about where you finish. We come into every race with the same strategy. Just stay out of trouble early, run nice clean laps, you know, not beat up your stuff, and everybody will balance out. And by the time you get into race trim at the end of a long run, everybody's, you know, hanging on to their stuff, and it all comes down to the guy behind the seat. So,
how worried were you about that one-lap shootout? I've got to confess, having covered this series for a couple of years, I know in the past they've shown the caution flag again with 2 to go to prevent one-lap shootouts from taking place. Were you worried about being dumped from behind on that final lap, or did you know that if you got a restart you could bring it home to the checkers first?
no, I've run with Scott for a number of years, and I knew he was going to run me clean. It was just a matter of getting down into 1 nice and smooth and not washing up so I could get a good run off of 2. And if I could do that and get a little gap between me and Scotty, I knew that it was going to come down to Justin and him for 2nd, and we just had to hit our marks in 3 and be good to go.
Alright, last question I've got to ask Matt. A few rounds ago there were 2 Matt Vades in the race, and I've been wondering how that happened ever since. Could you enlighten us on that situation?
Yeah, I had subbed for Mark McCrary while he was out, and they didn't change his name back to the 31 machine, but he was in the 31 car that night. I normally pilot either the 8 or the 7.
Okay, good to know. Well, it's great seeing that number 8 in victory lane. We hope to see you back next week at Thompson.
Hey, thanks, Sam. You guys do a great job. Thanks to the league, W.A.R Super Shocks, and everybody for jumping on board and helping this thing out. Robert and them guys do a great job. So thanks, everybody, for being involved with this, and thanks for putting on a good show, guys.
Alright, and that was our race winner there, Matt Vade. And Tanner, you've been mentioning that for the last couple of weeks that you're really looking forward to Thompson International Speedway, the race there next week, and I have a feeling after a couple of pretty great races we've seen over the last couple of weeks, you're looking forward to it even more.
Yeah, I definitely am, you know, and it just brings back a lot of memories on my short track racing. You know, even I do short track racing today as well, and Thompson Speedway was a great little racetrack. I kind of like to think of it as a mini Darlington because you're not totally on the bottom side of the racetrack and you wash out to the wall just a little bit. Incredibly bumpy, old surface. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm also looking forward to Phoenix, which is going to be coming up soon, and one of my all-time favorite racetracks, short tracks on iRacing, is going to be USA International Speedway. So having those racetracks, man, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch those cars turn some laps.
And you will get to see it all here live on the Global Sim Racing channel next Wednesday night. Well, congratulations once again to Matt Vade, and we'll see all of these drivers back in action next week at Thompson International Speedway. Before we go, we would like to thank the organisers and the competitors in the iROC Warshock Super Series for coming here tonight and putting on a solid show. We would also like to thank the makers of the various software and hardware that you see listed on your screen. Thanks to the team today, Tanner Sharp, Joe Peak, and our camera guru, Dougie Beard. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. A special thanks goes out to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde to provide us with our music. You can buy Eric's on iTunes and Spotify, and Casey's at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. All of our upcoming races for our other series on screen, so be sure to check those out. Mark them down in your calendar and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.